Hi, Siobhan here again. I want to thank everybody who watched my first video and was super supportive. It really means a lot and it's helpful. Tomorrow is my appointment with the therapist and definitely having a lot of anxiety about it. And I'm not entirely sure why, but I guess the anxiety itself is why I'm seeing a therapist. So wish me luck. I did try with the lights that I have. I don't have a professional lighting setup by any means, but I did try to kind of use the lights that I have to make the lighting better. So hopefully when I go back and get this ready to upload, it'll be better than the previous video. I'll probably order a ring light at some point if I decide that this is something that I'm going to be able to stick with. In an effort to make this video shorter than the previous video, I've already done my base. I did use the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer, primer and moisturizer in one. I had a sample from somewhere. I won't be using it again. Not sure exactly why, but it definitely made my foundation crease. Like, these lines up here in my forehead are creased so bad, so much worse than normal. And I'm using the same foundation and powder that I use every day. So the foundation is the Too Faced Peach Perfect in Swan. The powder is the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores Pressed Powder. And so today's look is going to be pink, and I have a lot of options for pink. I was actually a little overwhelmed trying to just decide what I was going to work with, so I kind of narrowed down the items that I had. So I'll talk a little bit more about my past and kind of where I'm at with my anxiety, and go ahead and start my makeup. Real quick, my eyes have already been primed with the Urban Decay Primer Potion in Eden, and then just set with the It Cosmetics powder underneath my eyes. I've used the Urban Decay Naked Skin in Lavender, which I explained yesterday I always use because I just have pretty big hollows under here. Again, I put the primer under there as well, and Smashbox is really letting me down right now. So hopefully I'll be able to come up with an eye look that I really like. Also, I should have mentioned yesterday, I wear glasses and I am not wearing my contacts while I'm doing this. So if they're squinting or I'm leaning forward, it's just because I need to get closer to the mirror because I'm basically blind without it. I do have a mirror that magnifies, which actually is almost worse because I have to get a little bit closer to it, I think, than I would the other one. But it also has a light on it, so I'm hoping that it'll help with the lighting. If it doesn't really help with the lighting, I'll go back to the mirror from yesterday. So we'll see how that goes. I also changed some of the video settings, so this might be a terrible quality video, much worse than the previous one. We'll see. So I'm gonna just go ahead and get into my makeup. I'm gonna start out, I have a lot of Too Faced products. I didn't have any Too Faced products, and then a few months ago, they started to go on sale places, and I somehow managed to become completely obsessed. So I'm going to use the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbon palette, and I'm just going to start with using the cashew chew to set my eyes, and hopefully it won't be too dark. So I was talking yesterday about kind of growing up without a family. I feel like I started to realize that I was running out of time and got really just super fast at the end. I'm going to put sprinkles in to my crease. But I want to talk a little bit about my oldest brother, the one that was put up for adoption, finding me, because that was something that I didn't think would ever happen, and I haven't quite known how to react to it. My immediate reaction is just being very excited and happy and glad that he found me, because it was always sort of a piece of me that I was missing. But like I said, I didn't want to find him because I didn't want to have to be the person to tell him that both of his parents were dead, because whoever wants to have to do that. So fortunately or unfortunately, by the time he found me, he did already know that they were dead. He had actually found his dad's family first, and his dad's family wasn't very welcoming, and he just didn't feel like they really wanted him to be part of their family, which just makes me really sad. And I don't want him to have a similar experience with myself or our other brothers. But I also am not really sure how to stay in touch and like build a relationship, having not really had a lot of that myself. This, by the way, is just the it's Miss Glam. It's the Ipsy brush, the L34 Blend Beauty. Any blending brush will do. I just grabbed a random one. I have a lot of blending brushes. So that's been difficult, and I don't know, I really want to stay in touch with him, but I've been really bad at doing it just because I do feel so much pressure. I'm going to use from that same palette Totally Fetch and just put it in the outer corner. And I don't know, I don't know what to do with our relationship. If you're somebody who was put up for adoption and you come across this and you have any advice for me, I definitely would be more than happy to hear it. If you are my brother and you come across this and you have any advice for me, I'd be more than happy to hear it. Both of us, like, we'll just sort of message each other and tell each other, like, hey, both of us have issues with anxiety, so we'll just send messages and say, I have issues with anxiety and I'm really bad at staying in touch, but I want to have a relationship. And then that will kind of be the end of the conversation. So the first night that we talked, I was on the phone with him and his wife for hours and hours and hours. And we have a lot in common. We're really similar people. So to go from that to just not knowing what to do, like, I think that I just panicked after that. So initially I was very excited, and then that excitement just turned into panic and anxiety because I have all of this pressure, whether it's, real or completely imagined, to be everything that he would need from his birth family. And that's so much pressure. So much pressure. And I know I talked about that yesterday, but it's just more than I even know how to describe, because I want everything to be so good for him. And it's just, I feel like I'm doing a really terrible job at being what I want to be. This is just the e.l.f. professional eyeshadow brush. It's just a cheap dollar brush from e.l.f. I'm going to use to just pack in cotton candy in the middle. So, I don't know. I keep saying I don't know, but I don't. Like, that's really the problem that I have, is that I don't know. And my anxiety, I didn't recognize that I had anxiety for a really long time. So I think that I've had anxiety my entire life. Like, I kind of recognized depression when I was younger, But I don't think people really talk about what anxiety is or how anxiety feels. So for me, it almost feels like I've had too much caffeine, like I've drank a pot of coffee, and so I kind of have racing thoughts. I'm also physically uncomfortable when I'm having a lot of anxiety, and I kind of can't catch my breath, and my heart's racing, and it's uncomfortable. It is a physically and emotionally uncomfortable place to be. And it's the reason that I'm not able to handle sort of everyday normal tasks while I am in that place. So this, I'm going to stop for a second to talk about this palette. This is the Suva Beauty. It's not going to focus on this hollow packaging. It's beautiful, but it's also really reflective. So this is the Suva Beauty Block Party. This is a new palette, just came out recently, and I just got this palette last week. So far, just the little bit that I've had an opportunity to play with it, I absolutely love it. And since it has this gorgeous bright pink in here, it only makes sense that I would use it for this look. So this bright pink is called Drunk Love, and we're gonna see what Drunk Love looks like on the eyes. So I first recognized, wow, that is pink. I first recognized that I had anxiety as being anxiety after my mom died. And it was actually after I came back to Ohio and I started to have panic attacks, and I started to have situations where I would be home at night and my roommate would be gone. So I'd be there by myself and I would just absolutely freak out. And when I say I would freak out, I mean I would be laying in my bed and every sound that I heard, I thought was somebody trying to get in the house. Or I thought that, like, I just thought something bad was going to happen. And I didn't always have an explanation for what it was that was going to happen, but I knew that it was anxiety and panic attacks, and I started to have a lot of the symptoms that you do hear people talk about, like feeling like I was having a heart attack and just not knowing how to handle the physical responses. At that point, I also was working in a coffee shop, which meant that I was, oh, that's the NYX number 14. Again, I'm just kind of packing on the pink with that. And then I'm going to go back to my blending brush and use some of that pink in the crease. Because with my hooded eye, I like to go above the crease out here on the end so that you can actually see the colors. And I'm going to make this a pretty bold pink eye. So having caffeine all the time definitely is something that wasn't helping, and it's something that one of the first things that I do now when I start to notice that my anxiety is getting really bad is I will start to cut back on the caffeine. And right now I haven't had caffeine in almost 3 weeks, which sucks because I love caffeine. I love coffee. I love tea. I don't really drink much soda, but if I do, I want it to have caffeine in it. So yeah, caffeine is just something that I really enjoy. And unfortunately, it's something that is not good for me because I do have issues with anxiety. And I don't ever want to have to stop, but I do try to take care of myself as much as possible when it comes to my mental health, because I know how difficult it is for me to get back to a good place if I do sort of get to a point where I am just not capable of dealing with my feelings and my emotions. Okay, so I want to deepen the outer corner, so I'm going to use Muse from the Lime Crime Venus 1 palette, and I'm just going to put it on with the large eyeshadow brush by Sonia Kashuk. I need to stop saying so much. Sorry about that. I'll work on it, I promise. So I do what I can to take care of my health. Probably the most difficult thing for me in terms of my health is my weight, because I have thyroid problems, so that makes it difficult anyway. And then on top of thyroid problems, I also really, really like to eat. And I don't like having to count calories and restrict myself. And when I do, I feel so much better. I did the Whole30 and I felt amazing, and I keep saying that I'm going to do it again, and I keep planning on doing it, and then I don't do it. And part of it is just I don't have a lot of support when it comes to my weight issues. At work, they definitely... Sorry, I'm going to grab a makeup wipe. At work, they definitely like to feed us. That's how they deal with, like, if they feel like employees are unhappy, they just give us lots of food. I'll clean this up at the end. But it's unfortunate, and it's also when other people don't have the issues that I have with food, because I do have a problem with food. It's not just that I like food, it's that I genuinely have a problem. I overeat, and I eat when I'm bored, I eat when I'm upset. I'm definitely an emotional eater. I always have been. I remember when I was a kid, when I was home, when I would come home from school, if my mom wasn't there. So my mom was an alcoholic, so there's that. But she was a great mom. I don't want there to be any misconceptions about that, but she, like many people, had her downfalls, and one of them was that she was an alcoholic. And when I would come home, if she wasn't there, I was usually able to know that she was probably out drinking. And she wasn't somebody who was like in the movies where she would, you know, come home all the time and be violent and want to beat me. It was just that she wasn't there. And I, again, being a child who was relatively unhappy and really kind of needed some extra attention, didn't do well with her not being around. And so I would come home from school, and if she wasn't there and I thought that it was because she was out drinking, I would actually take all of the change that I would save up my change all the time, from like cleaning. I would take out people's trash or clean their cars or do whatever I could. And so I would take all of my change and I would go to the community center that was across the street, and I would buy a bunch of candy bars, and I would sit on the floor in the bathroom of the community center and cry and eat candy bars. And I started doing that when I was like 7 or 8 years old. Like, I was small. And so that definitely meant that weight became a problem when I was really young. And when I was really young, there was no way for anybody to know that that was what I was doing, or that that was why I had a weight problem. So the recording stopped and I didn't notice. So I was talking about when I used to go and eat candy bars when I was a kid. while the camera was stopped, I put on eyeliner. It is the Smashbox and Vlada Petal Metal eyeliner. It's the liquid eyeliner, and it's in Black Rose. So it's black with like a pink glitter in it, which is really hard to tell. It mostly just looks like black eyeliner. And then I put on some of the Lash Renegade Wet n Wild mascara in Avenging Amethyst. And I think I only got one eye done before I realized that the camera had stopped. So, yeah, so I had issues with an eating disorder as a kid. I had issues with an eating disorder as a teenager. And now I struggle a lot, even though I understand more what is going on. But it means that I will actively tell people, like, hey, don't offer me food. I'm trying to eat right, and it's very hard for me to say no. So at work, when they're offering snacks and things, it's so difficult for me to say no, I don't want it, just to like let them go by. And I try, but I actually put up a sign at my desk at work for a while that said not to offer me food. Like I was an animal at a zoo, basically. It was a sign that said, don't feed the goat. And when people would laugh about it or ask about it, it's easier to kind of make a joke about it. But then I would also explain to people, no, but really, don't give me food because I need to not have food. So, I feel like I have an eyelash. So, not eating right causes anxiety. I'm going to use the Luxie 514 blush brush, and then to stay with the pink theme, I'm using this Pretty Vulgar. Again, this is not, everything I'm using today is shiny, but it's this just bright pink blush, which I'm going to put on really lightly because I don't want my cheeks to be the same color as my eyes. But the color of this, by the way, is Prim Vixen. So it was just, it's always been difficult, and food has always been kind of a way that I have dealt with things. Oh, that was a minute ago when I said I was going to use a light hand. Apparently I was not serious. I'm just going to use whatever clean brush I have. I'll probably put some just powder over top of that, see if I can lighten it. So where is my powder? There it is. So I'm just going to put some regular, just the It Cosmetics powder on top of there. See if I can tone that crazy clown cheek down a little bit. It's not really helping much. Okay, well, we'll make the other one a little pinker to match, because then at least I won't be uneven. So that's why this has also sort of become a weight loss journey for me, because I'm trying to get healthy, and a big part of being healthy for me is eating right. And I think that when I have something like this to help hold me accountable, it'll be really helpful, because I don't have a great support system in life outside of this. So this isn't technically a highlighter, but it's the Glowy Powder Rome Rose. It's by Pixie. It was the Aspen Ovard and Pixie collaboration, and unfortunately I don't know that you can get this anymore unless you get it off of like a secondhand makeup site, but this is my favorite kind of blush highlighter combo. But yeah, so I don't know. I always wonder if other people have the same kind of issues that I have. And part of the reason that I think I'm so open about talking about things, because I'm very open, not just in this space where I'm just talking to a camera and then putting it out there for whoever. I'm really open with people just in my everyday life. Knowing me for a few minutes, there's a perfectly good chance that you're going to learn all kinds of things about me that you possibly never wanted to know. I wasn't going to use any kind of bronzer, but I changed my mind because I think this look kind of needs it. So I'm going to use the Tarte Park Avenue Princess bronzer. And this video, I'm going to have to edit the crap out of this because it's going to be super long again. But that was too much. I apparently don't know what a light hand is today. I don't know what my problem is. Anxiety, probably. Anxiety is usually the problem. But so these are definitely things that I need to talk to the therapist about and see what I can do to help. I see my regular doctor on Thursday, and I think that when I see her, I need to talk to her about maybe seeing a nutritionist. So for lipstick, I'm going to use this Mellow in Candy Floss because I don't know when else I'm going to use this. Hello, focus. No, okay, it's not going to focus. And frankly, I'm not that bothered. So, but I'm going to talk to her about seeing a nutritionist because I think that it'll help if I have somebody who's giving me a very specific diet. Oh, that is really pink. It smells good. I didn't expect it to smell like anything. Does anybody else have an issue getting their lips even? How do the other YouTubers make it look so easy? I also feel like this lipstick kind of makes my lips look small, which is not what I am ever going for. I thought about doing black lipstick with this look, but I figured since it was a pink look, I'd go for this insane pink lipstick. And I kind of like it. Like, it feels really nice on. I like the formula, but it's definitely not quite what I was expecting in terms of looks. So this is the final look. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I will try to come up with a more cohesive plan for what I'm going to talk about. I've just been pretty scatterbrained, and part of that is just feeling a lot of anxiety. If you've ever dealt with anxiety, then you know that having anxiety makes it difficult to focus on any one thing. And if you haven't had anxiety, if you know people who have anxiety, I would say make sure that you support them in a way that gives them space, but also lets them know that you're there, and that if they need to just sort of ramble on about things to get things out of their head, that that's something that they can do, because that is something that is such an enormous help for me when I have that. And when I do have friends, even if they don't understand what I've been through or what I'm going through, just knowing that they're willing to listen and try to understand can be enough. So it's appreciated, and it's appreciated that you have stuck with this video all the way to this point. If you have, you should definitely let me know, because I like knowing who is watching my videos, since I'm sharing a lot of myself. And I also would like to get to know about other people. So if there's anything in particular, any questions that you have about anxiety or depression, or if there are any questions if I've started to tell a story and then not completed it, because I know that that is something that I do sometimes, feel free to ask questions. I'm more than happy to share any information that anybody is looking for. And hopefully you're all having a wonderful day, evening, morning, wherever it is that you're at. I'll try to come up with an actual intro and outro at some point. And it's kind of weird, just still getting used to the filming. Again, hopefully the lighting was better. If you could also let me know down below how the lighting was, how the quality of the video was. And everybody have a good day. Bye.